Wisdom, knowledge, inspiration, and motivation comes from great stories of our real life heroes. So, I welcome you all in my first ever the biography which I am going present you Charles Lindbergh Flying Spirit, written by Mary Silva Turner and presented to you by Mahipal Singh Charan. I request you sincerely give your 100%. Soft spoken and courageous, Charles Lindbergh was only 25-year-old when he took the first flight across the Atlantic Ocean in 1927. Most people thought of him as a flying fool for his plan to fly solo, but Lindbergh was confident. He had flown many hours in all kind of weather. He had been to flight school and been as US Army Air Service officer. His determination, control, and good focus helped him to survive daring stunts and even crashes. Lindbergh was also a skilled airplane mechanic. He had studied mechanical engineering in college. This helped him to design everything in his own plane, the Spirit of St. Louis. The Spirit of St. Louis, Stevenson Lewis. The Spirit of Stevenson Lewis was light and powerful. Lindbergh had fitted it with a modern engine and two kind of compasses for his trip across the Atlantic Ocean. Lindbergh faced many dangers during his flight. He battled storms and tiredness. Moreover, he relied on only a compass and some maps to navigate. The lack of navigation and safety equipment made it even more important for him to plan every detail of his trip. After 28 hours of sleepless travel, he finally made it. To everyone's joy and amazement, he had survived the trip. Lindbergh's success made many people believe that air navigation was a simply matter of determination. As a result, at least 15 people died trying to cross the ocean in next few years. Poor navigation technology played a role in many of these accidents. Lindbergh had to rely on only a clock and compass because navigation equipment for planes at that time was not very good. Pilots and ship captains often looked at the stars to help them navigate, but in planes like the Spirit of Stevenson Lewis, the wings of the plane blocked the view of the sky. This made it impossible to see the stars. That meant the pilot were flying nearly blind. A few after his historic flight, Lindbergh got lost while flying in Spirit of Stevenson Lewis. His compass had failed. The experience troubled him so much that he wrote about in his autobiography. So, dear student, I am going to read a piece of his own autobiography where Charles Lindberghs have written, over Florida, my magnetic compass rotated without stopping. I had no idea whether I was flying north, south, east, or west. A few stars directly overhead were dimly visible through the haze, but they formed no constellation I could recognize. Where could I be? If this had happened over the Atlantic, Lindbergh would have been lost at sea. His name would have been forgotten. His nearly tragic trip, however, turned out to be important for the future of air navigation. After his compass error, Lindbergh wanted to find better ways to navigate in airplane so that people do not have to rely only on compasses. A few months later, he met a young man named Philip Wims. They worked together to change the world of flying. Not surprisingly, most Americans assume Lindbergh was already an expert in everything about flying. Everyone was surprised to learn that he needed training in navigation. When the great Charles Lindbergh admitted that he needed training, many other pilots realized how little they all knew about air navigation. With Lindbergh as its first student, pilot began training with a new set of tools called the beam system of navigation. Pilots still needed to use the compasses, but they were not completely lost if there was a compass error. Lindbergh was a student willing to learn Weems' new tools. He was also humble enough to let his experience of getting lost serve as an example to other pilots. As a result, pilots were quick to learn about the Veeam new system of air navigation. Many pilots today still use Veeam system along with compasses to navigate in the air. This is the great story of Charles Lindbergh and his spirit of flying. I conclude my biography with that his initial flight from New York to Paris proved that traveling across the Atlantic by aeroplane was possible. He received Medal of Honor by President Calvin Coolidge. He also became the first ever Time magazine Man of the Year for the year 1927. With one movie about his life and also honored with many statues and other way of honoring him, and at the addition the spirit of Stevens Lewis is on permanent display in the Air and Space Museum of America, and there is no doubt that Charles Lindbergh will always be remembered.